meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, directed the army of this country to increase military pressure in the southwestern area of Taiwan, alone according to which he practiced giving the above instructions, had the recent meeting of the Central Military Commission. The Central Military Commission is the highest military authority of the central government, country after bad country South Mainan, Mr. Canada, Netherlands, New Zealand recently conduct joint exercises near Taiwan with the participation of 3 aircraft carriers, flying at the Central Military Commission. Mr. General, Commander of the Chinese Armed Forces, Kwok says China needs to show that this time will always fight first. Chinese people still want to avoid a war, directly confront the US sources. He said he was supposed to be thinking that military exercises in the region, the sea southwest of Mr. Quinoa, Polar Province, south of Japan in the middle of the waves of the Navy, conducted to prevent the risk. China unifies Taiwan as well as there is a move to name the Lotus Archipelago. How to receive and call to Diaoyu in the way of Chinese call. Remarkable first word. America's good aircraft carrier board and one of you participate in an exercise near Taiwan. Loan all moves of the US and Dong. China Ming has a total of 150 machines, military flights of all types and identification zones. Taiwan's ADI's air defense only counts. Only this month, the most recent, October 5, Taiwan Defense Agency loan set an anti-submarine aircraft. Chinese News 8 has flown into section southwest ADI's of Taiwan in force. The island's air defenses warn. October 4 only when received. 56 Taiwan ADI's infiltration aircraft, record high in a day since Taiwan begins to reveal moves. Beijing's analog from September 2020. America immediately voiced criticism, harshly China, while emphasizing such action undermines peace and stability. Determination of the region while expressing concerned with the behavior of the aircraft series. Chinese military with the island of Taiwan. Australian government on the evening of October 4 confirmed the camera wants the Indian area. The Pacific Ocean ensures security. Legal car service. Music. Taiwanese leader Tsai Ing-wen know that failing to protect Taiwan is a disaster for peace in Asia, and this island will do whatever it takes necessary to protect yourself. Hard statement. This snake is made by Tyon Van Silver. An article published in Fortune magazine, The Fat Rat, on the 5th of October, in which she saw that Taiwan will not bow head under pressure but will not return to be adventurous even when there is support from Taiwan's international community located along the island chain. First battle from the side, northern Japan to Bolero Island. If D is below here, broken by force, the consequences will do disrupt international trade and cause loss. Stabilize the entire western Taibin language. Duong, in other words, failed in defending Taiwan won't just be a disaster for Taiwanese, it would be an island. Discuss a security structure that promotes peace and prominence in the region. Over the past 7 decades, in Tai said, and added, Taiwan is not looking for military head but will do anything necessary for self-defense. Taiwan said today, the 4th of October, dispatched the planes, jet, and deploy missiles to the scene. Reported 56 Chinese military aircraft, including 34 fighter jet J-16 12 throwers, H-6 bombs, and 2 dynamic Su-30 jets. The above took place while Beijing made 3 maneuvers of invading aircraft enter the ADI's air defense identification zone. Taiwan has established. Even China, the mainland, also warned that they will use all their strength crush Taiwan's independence ambitions. Taiwan has long been the leader of Taiwan. Tsai Ing Van also has a special task of modernizing the armed forces. Should be the first priority. Focus and use new weapon spirit. Move to the northwest into a hedgehog too. If mainland China has a monopoly, it will pay the highest possible price. In developments related to the former Prime Minister, Australia, Tony Abbott went to Taiwan to give an important speech at the House Music floor of a regional dialogue conference in Asia. Asia is rich in Taiwan's exchange fund, held on October 8. Despite attending events as individuals like Mr. Abbott will be the highest level characters of Taiwan welcomes the arrival of a former head of a foreign government to Taiwan, and Abbott meetings of the leaders of Taiwan takes place at a sensitive time when stressed crossing the strait between Taiwan and China. Nation is at the highest level in many past decade. In 4 days, China gave 149 machines, military aircraft harassing Taiwan people. The U.S. State Department spokesman responded, strong response, rarely seen criticism of behavior. China's actions. Beijing took England since entering October. The number Chinese military aircraft arrives. Taiwan hits record highs in a row. New records according to statistics from the Bureau. Protect Taiwan from the 1st to the 4th. October 3, 8, 39, 16 and 56 aircraft respectively. Chinese military has flown into the receiving zone. Taiwan's ADIZ form of Southwestern Air Defense. Lone 56 first to fly in on the 4th. October is the largest number that can be counted when Taiwan's defense agency begins class. Reveal the operational status of the Air Force. PANA on September 17 of last year. U.S. State Department spokesman NetLife said he did not want to speculate on motives of the Chinese side but said that the U.S. strongly urged Beijing to stop causing the pressure of economic diplomacy and the threat of threaten Taiwan with the use of strong language. According to the news on October 7, the U.S. Senate passed the bill, increased the debt ceiling by $480 billion. Extend the pressure on the debt ceiling to 12/3. This decision also promoted the rise of the U.S. stock market that day. The increase is about 1%, which is not too much. This is only a preliminary decision. After all, on December 3, that day, the United States will still face the same problems. At that time, will the two parties in the United States continue to fight? Or do you postpone it one more time? Either way, the United States will face the same problems in the future. Whether it's the Democratic Party in power or the Republican Party in power in the future, will also face the problem of debt ceiling. So, someone proposed to simply and permanently abolish the debt ceiling. Isn't that great? Lest every other year, or every 6 months, it has to be extended once. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen called for the removal of the U.S. federal debt ceiling a while ago. Our focus today is not that the United States moves back the debt ceiling. Because no matter what, the two parties in the United States will not take such a big risk. Let the U.S. government default. No matter how many times the U.S. parties delay, at the last juncture, they will definitely find a way, either to raise the debt ceiling or postpone it later. This is why we have not discussed the issue of U.S. debt default in the past 2 months. What I want to talk about today is the impact on the world if the United States permanently abolishes the debt ceiling. The impact on the game between China and the United States. Because this is so important. The United States is the world's largest economy. The dollar hegemony is in his hands. If the United States continues to print money, engage in quantitative easing, and increase debt, the global impact is not ordinary. In the past 2 years, the US dollar has been issued indiscriminately, and the flood has caused inflation. Everyone has seen this in the past few months. CPI data for April in the United States increased by 4.2% year-on-year. However, the U.S. Federal Reserve rejected the argument of inflation and considered it temporary. After that, in May, 6, July, and August, there was no monthly CPI lower than 5%. In August it was 5.3%. The scourge of a large number of money printing in a country is very obvious. In history, there have been many such examples, so we won't give examples. However, the US dollar is a global currency, and almost all global commodities are priced in US dollars. The proliferation of US dollars has caused the rise of global commodities and the rise of basic raw materials. Whether it's basic metals, crops, food, oil, natural gas, the prices of coal, wood, chemicals, fertilizers, etc. have all risen. If the US abolishes the debt ceiling, then any US government will. Anyone can raise debts as much as they want and inject more dollars into the market. Some people may say that the US government cannot raise debt without restrictions. The budget of the United States must be approved by Congress and passed by Congress. This is true. However, once the debt ceiling is lifted, it is very difficult for the opposition party to stop it. It will be much more difficult than before the debt ceiling was lifted. There are 3 reasons why the removal of the debt ceiling in the United States will become the world's top economic event. The first one is what I just said. The US dollar is the currency of the world and the currency of the world. Second, the United States is now in an economic cycle. The United States faces huge debts. Affected by the epidemic, the economy faces the risk of a downturn. If it wasn't for the United States to print money, if it wasn't because the US dollar is the world currency, the economic situation in the United States is likely to be the same as in Europe. Third, the United States is now in fierce competition with China. In order to beat China, the United States will print money more vigorously and engage in quantitative easing. Let's take a look at several proposals Biden put forward after taking office. As soon as Biden came to power, he proposed a $1.9 trillion epidemic relief plan. Later, there was the American version of the infrastructure plan, the household expenditure plan, subsidies to the technology industry in the United States, etc. The United States now almost speaks of China. In order to beat China, we cannot see the long-term economic plan of the United States. What you see is that money is printed continuously, money is printed, and water is continued to be discharged. The purpose is to maintain economic growth and maintain the prosperity of the stock market. Moreover, the U.S. fiscal deficit will continue. And it will be a huge deficit. No country in the world can print money like this. The sovereign debt crisis of the 4 European pig countries in 2010. Later it became the sovereign debt crisis of the 5 European pig countries. From the debt crisis of the 5 European pig countries, we have seen that when a country has such a high debt, the huge risks posed have severely impacted the country's economy and finance. Some people might say, isn't Japan's debt higher? Japan's debt has reached 266% of GDP. If the United States does not continue to release water, these 3 bubbles may burst at any time. The United States is now in fierce competition with China and cannot withstand the bursting of the bubble, nor can it withstand defeat to China. How to do it? Then continue printing money. This is, in order to win, the means can be ignored. For hegemony, let's talk about it first. If the United States abolished the debt ceiling and continued to print money, what would it be like? The United States can take the magic weapon of printing money and rely on printing money to support infrastructure construction. Even in terms of global infrastructure, it is relatively long and short with China. Block China's One Belt One Road plan. In fact, infrastructure has become a weapon of global geopolitics. The United States will not allow China to continue to expand its influence along the Belt and Road Initiative. Second, the U.S. can greatly subsidize some industrial chains. Moreover, such subsidies may not be limited to high-tech industries. Nor is it limited to the green energy industry. Ever since the Obama era, hasn't it been said that we should recast American manufacturing? However, many manufacturing industries have gone overseas and have gone to Asia. Relying on the dollar to release water, the United States can use subsidies to encourage some industries to return to the United States. Third, the United States can not only subsidize its own industries, but also its own companies. The United States can also subsidize some important foreign industries, such as TSMC and Samsung. Ask them to set up factories in the United States. Then, most importantly, include these industries in your own system, become part of the U.S. supply chain. What are you doing this way? This has 2 purposes. One is to continue to maintain America's technological hegemony. The other is to compete with China for the dominance of the global supply chain. Once the U.S. has a dominant position in the supply chain, coupled with the hegemony of the U.S. dollar, the United States can give orders to all industries. Who dare not follow? If you don't listen, financial sanctions and technological blockade will come. Some people might say, Yang Feng said too much, right?